In the vast, shimmering expanse of the Milky Way, civilizations rose and fell like the tides on countless worlds. Some species ruled with brute strength, others with wisdom, and still others with technological prowess. Among them all, humanity was a perplexing anomaly, a species that seemed to thrive on chaos and contradictions. The Galactic Council, a governing body of the most advanced species, had observed Earth for centuries. They found humans baffling, simultaneously brilliant and destructive, compassionate and ruthless. To them, humans were the galaxy's most foolish species. Today, they would finally expose this truth. The Grand Assembly Hall of Oratol, a colossal structure with intricate glasswork that reflected the nebulae outside, buzzed with tension. Representatives from every corner of the galaxy gathered to witness the hearing. At its heart stood Xenoreth, the ancient and wise leader of the council, whose voice could command the attention of billions. Next to him stood Varric, an ambitious young official eager to prove himself. "It is time we reveal the truth," Varric announced, his tone smug and confident. "Humanity is nothing more than a collection of primitive fools. Their history, their decisions, their behavior, all lead to one inevitable conclusion: they are the galaxy's most foolish species." The crowd of alien dignitaries murmured in agreement. They had seen the footage of wars, greed, and pollution, actions that seemed to defy the logic of survival. To them, this hearing was a formality, a conclusion they had already drawn. Xenoreth, with his eyes clouded by eons of wisdom, gestured toward the back of the hall. "Bring forth the humans." From the shadows emerged a group of 5 humans, 2 women and 3 men. Each had been carefully selected to represent the many facets of their species. They stood side by side, heads held high, though an air of unease clung to them. Sarah, a biologist, was the first to speak. Her brown eyes gleamed with defiance, her hands clenched into fists at her sides. "You think we are fools because we make mistakes," she said. "But every species makes mistakes. What makes us different is how we grow from them." Varric scoffed. "Grow? You've destroyed your environment, fought endless wars, and have nearly driven yourselves to extinction multiple times. Where is the growth in that?" Another human, Greg, a historian, stepped forward. His voice was calm but firm, the weight of centuries of human history behind it. "Yes, we've fought wars. But we have also fought for peace, for justice. The same hands that have built weapons have built monuments to freedom and unity. We don't deny our faults, but we don't let them define us either." The assembly remained silent, waiting for Varric's retort. He smirked, confident in his argument. "Your species is a paradox. You claim to value peace, yet your history is soaked in blood. You preach compassion, yet you exploit the weak. How can such a species be anything but foolish?" The third human, Amir, an engineer, responded before Varric could continue. His voice was quiet, yet it carried across the hall like a ripple in a still pond. "It's true that we are often at odds with ourselves. But what you call foolishness, we call resilience. Every challenge we face, no matter how dire, we find a way to overcome it. We adapt. We endure." The alien representatives whispered among themselves, their eyes flickering in the low light of the hall. They had expected arrogance, not this level of self-awareness. Xenoreth, who had remained silent until now, leaned forward. His deep, resonant voice filled the hall. "You claim resilience, but at what cost? Your planet suffers. Your people suffer. Is this the legacy you wish to leave behind?" A heavy silence fell over the humans. It was Sophia, a psychologist, who broke it. Her voice was steady, her eyes filled with empathy. "Our suffering is part of our story, but it is not the whole story. We love fiercely, we dream boldly, and we care deeply. We are capable of acts of incredible kindness and selflessness. These are not the traits of fools." Xenoreth gazed at Sophia for a long moment. He had seen countless species rise and fall, many far more advanced than humanity. But there was something different about these humans, a fire in their eyes, a stubborn refusal to be judged solely by their mistakes. The final human, David, a poet, stepped forward. He was an old man, his face weathered by time and loss. But his eyes sparkled with the hope of 1,000 generations. "You look at us and see contradictions," he said softly. "But that is where our strength lies. We are complex, imperfect, but we are also capable of unimaginable beauty. Our music, our art, our stories, they bind us together. They remind us of who we are, even when the world seems darkest." For the first time, Varric faltered. He had prepared arguments against humanity's wars, their environmental destruction, their politics. But he had not prepared for this, for the raw, emotional depth of these creatures. "You speak of art and beauty," Varric said, his voice more measured now, "but that does not excuse the harm your species has caused." David smiled, a sad but knowing smile. "Perhaps not. But it does remind us that we are more than the sum of our mistakes. We are constantly striving to be better, to reach beyond ourselves. And that, Counselor Varric, is what makes us human." Xenorith leaned back in his chair, his mind swirling with ancient memories of civilizations long gone. He saw in humanity a reflection of all species, the same struggles, the same contradictions, the same yearning for something greater. "Counselor Varric," Xenorith said slowly, "you sought to expose humanity's foolishness today. But what I see before me is not foolishness. It is something far more complex." Varric opened his mouth to protest, but Xenorith silenced him with a raised hand. "Yes, humanity has its faults. But it also has something rare, something precious. A determination to survive, to evolve, despite its flaws. That is not foolishness. That is wisdom." The hall was silent. The alien representatives, who had been so quick to judge, now found themselves rethinking their assumptions. Perhaps humanity wasn't as primitive or foolish as they had thought. Perhaps there was something to learn from these strange, contradictory beings. Xenorith stood, his robes billowing around him. "The hearing is concluded. Humanity, as flawed as it may be, is no more foolish than any other species. In fact, its ability to reflect, to grow, may be its greatest strength." The humans exchanged glances, Sarah, Greg, Amir, Sophia, and David. They had come expecting condemnation, yet they left with something far more valuable, respect. As they exited the grand hall, David turned to his companions, his old eyes shining with unshed tears. "We are foolish, yes," he said softly. "But maybe, just maybe, that's what makes us extraordinary. And in the endless expanse of the galaxy, where civilizations rose and fell like the tides, humanity's story was just beginning."